Welcome to Gray Areas for July 22nd, 2025, episode 682. And lo and behold, the gang is all here.
Wow.
Or
How
at least a
brave
little
of
bit.
Dave to call in.
Yeah, for at least a chunk of the show, Dave will be here, which is why we won't spend a ton of time in the intro. But hi, Dave, where are you?
I'm in California, Newport Beach specifically. My face is, I think, sunburned or just really tan. I'm not sure which one.
It looks like it's in the process of going from sunburn to tan.
Well, I've been doing well with sunscreen for the most part, so I really haven't gotten any bad sunburn so far. But I'm also a super old man who I wear a shirt to the beach now because I don't want to get sunburned. So that's just what I do now. So my chest has not been sunburned.
What age were you when that transition happened?
39. 39 is when that happened.
That's not a good look.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. I think it was 38. And
That's a
so
little better.
2 years ago I was here. Yeah, 2 years ago I was here, and I'm like, I got sunburned. I'm going to put a shirt on. I didn't get sunburned. Yet I'm going to do this forever.
Then there's me who just takes the sunscreen spray bottle and sprays it on myself until it's starting to roll up off of me because there's so much on me. And I'm like, good. Now I'm ready to be in the sun because I refuse to get fucking sunburned anymore.
So I actually did have one day where I didn't wear like the rash guard or whatever you want to call it. And I specifically lathered up, sprayed up, brought another bottle of spray for if I was out there for a while and spray after 2 hours, whatever. And somehow my stomach still got sunburned. I'm like, how? It's impossible. I can't do it. I'm too pasty, white, awful, human being. So I just gave up.
You're an awful human being because you're pasty white?
I'm assuming so. I'm assuming that's my
boring.
punishment.
I'm excited for Dave on his vacation.
Old white guys talking about sunscreen and sunburn.
Do you know how many minutes we dedicated to an obese dog last week?
Yeah, that was funny though.
Can we do that again? Is that possible?
We can do it again, but we gotta. We gotta jump into this shit because you only have 15 minutes.
At some point, we may need to just adjudicate if Bo is a good dog, and then also put Siri and Corvo on trial alongside him.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Could be next week, especially if Dave's going to be here and it pushes back the game show one more week. Then we have a bit of an opening. Even if we do the other topic, it can still be possible.
Because I do have more stories about Bo. And more realizations about Bo.
I will say last week's was like among the hardest I've laughed in a while. As Dave is trying to type in defenses and you're just dragging him was like genuinely really funny to me.
And for extra context in that, I gave Courtney my other AirPods. So Courtney and I were both listening to the show while I was typing that, and she was laughing her ass off at every stupid thing Bo was doing. So it worked out perfectly.
Okay, we should let you get to Star Trek.
Yeah, we'll do
it's all good. Hey, look at this. We have the best TV show finales on the screen.
That's right.
Chris,
and also
take it away.
The worst.
Interesting.
So
did you not click both links? You only clicked the top link. Okay.
So this is done by a user named. I had to scroll to the side. I'm too zoomed in to see it. Fuck. Let's just do this. It's gonna break things for a minute. Leave me alone. Bo McCready, or at Bo Knows Data. And there's a sidebar. It doesn't sound like fine, whatever.
Oh shit.
And basically, this is all based on IMDb. Now, you can say IMDb is a flawed metric, and sure, in some ways it might be, but at least with this, it is consistently flawed. So, based on hundreds of thousands of ratings of all these different series on IMDb, he's basically charted out, and he's looked at 3 different metrics: 2 for best, 1 for worst. On the best side, we've got the best finales of a television show relative to how good it was the whole time. So ones that really outkicked the coverage, right? Like, it was a decent show, but man, they nailed the ending. And then we just have the best endings of all time as rated by all the IMDb users, and then just the worst endings of all time. There's a relative scale on that one too.
So there's three scales then?
Essentially, yeah. We've got best relative to average, best overall, and then worst, which is mostly relative to average.
That's what I misunderstood because I clicked the best link and I was like, wow, blank show that we'll get to was not on the list. And then another blank show I didn't mention was in my brain. And those were missing.
This must be relative, this list.
This is relative. That's why I fucking Carly is right there.
Right.
Yes.
I think in some ways this is the most interesting of the 3, and this was the one I originally found until I realized he had done others, and I was able to kind of grab them all, and I was like, well, this is an easy show now, just because there's some things you wouldn't expect here. When we go to the best list, you're going to see a lot of the great TV shows you would expect from all time. And we will get there, and we will talk about it.
Okay.
But this one's about, like, again, you can see different shows that did for different reasons and where they ended up. Pokemon is super interesting here because look at all the seasons that are mashed together. Every season is like a switching between black and gray. So by the very end of it, they finally thought that Ash got a decent send-off. That one that spikes before it is the episode where he finally won a fucking championship.
Yep.
So like little things like that throughout this, but we got to start with at least a couple of the Star Trek ones because Dave is here. So like Dave, talk to us about Star Trek Picard, which kind of like lost track a little bit in the middle of season, but it looks like season 3 was really well regarded.
So here's what I laugh about with season 3 of Star Trek Picard. First of all, my beginnings of this, Jean-Luc Picard is one of my favorite characters of all time in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Possibly, I thought one of the greater characters ever. However, Star Trek Picard season 1 was confusing and weird and dumb. And then they kind of stole the plot of Mass Effect. And I'm not even kidding in that.
Oh, sounds great then.
I mean, you would think, except it was the only thing they stole was machines coming to kill all humans. And they stopped it by, a portal opened and they stopped it by closing a portal because the one cyborg decided, oh, wait, no, we don't want to kill all humans. Okay, turn it off. And that was pretty much it. It was bad. Really bad. And then season 2 somehow got worse. Season 2 was awful.
We actually see that here, by the way.
That's very backed up with what you're saying.
It is so bad. I watched it, and I honestly didn't even start season 3 until very much later because I was so turned off by season 2. I was so mad that they took this character that I loved and made him horrible. Season 3, they basically said, man, we suck. So basically, let's just bring the gang back together and put everybody on screen again. And so then they had season 3 where they decided to just run it back, and everyone liked it because they liked all the the member berries. And James, please leave the room. Thank you.
You don't know about Star Trek Picard. Get out of here.
So the funny thing with Star Trek Picard specifically is that season 3 wasn't any better, I don't think. But the fact is they got all the main Star Trek The Next Generation cast members and put them back on the bridge of the Enterprise D and had them fight the Borg. And everyone's like, oh my God, this is so good. And I'm like, it wasn't. So I disagree with the fact that it was that highly rated as it was, but it definitely was at least slightly better than seasons 1 and 2.
All right, what else you got? Because I don't have much on Picard.
Next Generation is here, and boy, is it all over the place. Now, it's consistently good quality, and obviously any show can have some big ups and downs, but it's got some of the biggest swings of anything on this list. Adventure Time also has a few different jarring ones, but eventually people seem satisfied with how Next Generation was sent off, even if the last season was pretty middling in its overall reviews.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Good.
Sorry, no, you finished Next Generation, and then I have a question.
I mean, Next Generation I love the show. I understand the reasons that it is so up and down. Season 1 especially is kind of dog shit. Season 7 definitely dropped off at the end. But the finale is one of the best finales of anything I've ever seen. They bookended the show perfectly and tied into the first episode. They had the characters feel like a good send-off, and then unfortunately they made shitty movies afterward. That's the real problem. Well, 3 shitty movies and 1 good one.
By the way, I can highlight individual episodes so we can see that this one season 2 episode called Shades of Grey, Dave is nodding, is a 3.3. It is one of only 3 episodes in the entire show that goes below the average of 5.5. So it looks like an extreme outlier in what's otherwise a pretty well-regarded show, which makes sense. We know TNG is liked, but what about that one in particular, Dave?
It's a clip show. It's a goddamn clip show, and everyone hated it.
That early in the show's run?
Yeah.
That's way too early!
It's basically like a season finale of sorts. It wasn't played up as one, but it served as one with what it aired.
Chris, can you go the lowest one on Naruto? It must be filler.
There's 2 next to each other.
It must be filler. That sounds like filler.
It does. So they're going about their... Yeah, there's back-to-back episodes with townspeople doing things and stuff. And
I really didn't want to derail us from that, but I'm now fascinated by the dips of every single series.
And I kind of want to do The Office too, Chris, because I'm going to know
the gray dip in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 season 6.
Yeah,
is it going to be the banker?
It is.
Fucking nailed that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I don't remember that one well.
2 seasons over in gray, which might even be
Here?
lower. No, to the right.
Yeah, the near the finale.
Here or here?
That one. Andy.
That makes sense because
I hate that episode.
Let's harken back to Chris saying I can't handle Ed Helms anymore.
Yeah.
So and we'll have time to kind of go through these in more
anyway,
detail.
that's so funny.
No, you're good. But that's why I thought this was interesting. I mean, data's cool in the first place, but when we can actually extrapolate it, and again, are IMDb rankings perfect? No, but generally you can find consensus on things that are good or not.
Yeah.
I think that's it for Star Trek on this list. We have to switch to the ones that are the other list, which are just the best ones.
Is that all Dave is going to be able to chime in on? Is fucking... There must be Breaking Bad
Well,
somewhere,
I don't know about that, but it's all he might have time for, given his limited frame
but
here.
like I am dragging Dave. I'm wanting him to have more to contribute.
Drag
Okay,
me.
there we go.
Drag me.
Like there's Breaking Bad as the
Breaking
number
Bad's
one
right there. Dave,
overall.
why don't you talk about Breaking Bad?
I mean, consistently. I mean, look. If you ask the question, if you polled 100 people in the street, what's the greatest ending to a show ever? How many people are going to say Breaking Bad? It's not a small number that's going to say that. I think.
I mean, I haven't even watched the show, and I think when Chris sent the list, I was like, recent prestige TV that nailed it and like landed it. I'm like, Breaking Bad is what I hear constantly. And again, 6 Feet Under is also what I know of having watched it. But like that, I thought of that right away. And I didn't even watch the show, and I know that it's just a great show that managed to stay great all the way through.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad gave everything the fans wanted and still felt poetic. It's like it felt like it ended the saga, obviously, in the sense of what happens at the end. I don't know. Do you want to spoil it for Cody? Does Cody care about?
No, it's okay. Go ahead. It is. I know. I think 80% of it anyway.
I'm going to spoil a 12-year-old show, but Walter White dies at the end. Like that happens. Like everyone expected that, and that's the only way it could have ended. If he would have gotten away, I think people would have been pretty pissed off. So
I just think
he dies. Jesse gets away.
I believe it's this episode. The last like 2 or 3 kind of blend together for me because they're all really good. But just hearing him especially in the face of all the Walter White like stands, they're like, oh no, he's doing it because of this and that, trying to defend him. To have him come out and admit to Skylar, I just liked it. I was good at it. I had fun with it, and that's why I did it. Was so great for me, and I think important for the show to do. Like admit that he was flawed and he was not even lying to himself or trying to do this noble thing. He was just good at it, so he did it.
And the main reason that doesn't show up on the other list, by the way, is because the quality of Breaking Bad is so good from start to finish. It has an average score of 8.9 across all 6 seasons.
Yeah.
Or 5 seasons, excuse me.
This is a bizarre comparison in a way, but so Breaking Bad is a show, to Dave's point, where the main character needs to die in the end because he's really a bad guy. He kind of needs to have that comeuppance. It's really funny when I comp that to Dexter, who's bad guy, murderer, and they've killed him twice and brought him back to life now in another reboot of the show because they keep failing to finish that show. And now, funny enough, it sounds like this new Dexter Resurrection show on Paramount Plus or whatever it is actually like a return to form of the better days of Dexter. But it's really funny to see Breaking Bad with a similar motif in a way, stay good all the way through and then end it and be like, no, we're fucking killing him. He's dead. And Dexter kills him and then is like, no, but he's not actually dead, which they tell you right away in the original finale. Then they shoot him in the reboot and then he's resurrected again. Like, it's just really funny to see the dichotomy of 2 shows.
Yeah.
And they're different in approach of how they want to finish that out.
I would say Walter White could have gone to prison. I still think they made the better choice. But like, I think if he had gotten away and he's in Mexico living his life, I think that's a betrayal of the themes of the entire show.
And that's what they sent Dexter to be a lumberjack in Portland, I believe, at the first finale, and everyone's like, what the fuck did you just do?
And they sent Saul to prison.
Yes.
But he was not as bad of a guy as Walter White. So
he's
exactly.
Yeah, like prison is like, oh, that's kind of a fair punishment. Like you deserve to be out one day versus
you do deserve to be
like versus Walter White being like, well, they probably should be putting you to death, honestly. Like, so we'll just kill you pre-prison instead.
Yeah.
What
else do we got then?
Let's hit a couple off the worst list then, since Dave wanted to talk Star Wars ones. And we're scrolling past a lot that we will come back to with time.
I do got to touch on one you scrolled past. I'll do that because Cody is going to rail on it. I can't wait for That's How I Met Your Mother.
Pretty fascinating how consistently good that show is until the last season, and then all of a sudden it starts having a heart attack, and the finale dips below average.
Game of Thrones has got to be on here somewhere.
It's number 3.
It's number 3. It's like we already scrolled past it.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, I will contain my How I Met Your Mother and oh my god, how much time we wasted. And Anyway,
We've talked it to death
Yeah.
already. I feel like so.
Yeah.
My problem is my
we
hatred
have-
of its finale got bigger having watched Penguin because Christina Milioti
Yeah.
is such a good actress.
She's so wasted.
And I'm even angrier we wasted her
Yep.
because she's the highlight of the in season with the fucking wedding and it all taking place across like 3 days. I've actually gotten angrier a decade later because they've shown me that I like should love this actress and I'm like, oh, I do
Yeah.
in that show and then in everything else I've seen her in since. So that's, god damn it, it's so bad.
If you want to be even more angry, Cody, I just watched a few episodes of How I Met Your Mother. I watched like Slap Bet and stuff like that. And I'm like, damn it, this show is really freaking good.
When
they treated people like people.
Yeah.
Like they treat people like how the guys made fun of each other in ways that I think that men would actually make fun of each other. And it's like, oh, hey, look, you actually look realistic. And then they ruin the show.
You can rewatch that show and you can see, well, Barney was not great at the time, but we don't have to reevaluate all that shit.
Sure.
But when that show's clicking, that show was really, really clicking. Its highs are, I mean, there's a couple peaks in there. It's like, oh shit, yeah. And those aren't even finales. It's just pops in random middles of seasons. Swarley is one of the funniest shit.
Swarley is phenomenal.
Slap Bet's a
Slap Bet
9-4.
naturally is right there.
The playbook's a 9-3.
And the playbook is a Barney, we just break down Barney being fucking psychotic fucking motherfucker.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so like there's a couple pops where it's like, oh, that show really does click, and man, it's even funnier to see the finale is bad, and then there's 2 episodes that are somehow almost as bad in that final season.
All in the last season, yeah.
It's just the oh my god, they had no idea what they were doing with that show, and they betrayed everyone who was watching.
And by the way, there's a 9-5, the highest rated episode of the series in the last season.
that would be because it's just explaining the mother's background.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, we're going to get the life story of Christina Miliotti's character. We're going to break down how fucking awesome she is and how adorable she is. Then we're going to kill her.
I just want to call out that there was a show, Mythic Quest, and they did a one-off episode where it was just Jake Johnson and Kristen Milioti,
Okay.
and it was
Not related to the actual, because they're not in that show.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
It was just a one-off, like little anecdotal story, and it, I believe, has the highest ratings of that show too.
2 pretty fucking good actors
Yeah.
to be putting in a random one-off
And they're
episode.
both good, but she carries it.
Naturally.
Yeah.
I to this day, I will continue being like, I don't understand how she has not been cast widely in
Yeah.
so many things. Anyway.
Right.
Chris, we'll evaluate Scrubs and what actually counts as the finale at
Sure.
some point, right?
There's a very clear problem with
Especially now that it's coming back.
Yeah, we have a clear problem with what happens here in 2 different cases.
What is that bottom out on Scrubs? What the fuck is
we'll
that?
Get there.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys keep. I understand there's a lot of interesting things.
No, I'm
happening,
fascinated
but
by this
Dave's
thing.
already over his 15 minutes, so if you have anything about Deep Space
we're
Nine or
good.
Enterprise, this is your chance.
Enterprise, I don't have a ton about. I honestly didn't watch it that much, so I can't even comment that much. It was okay from what I've seen. Let's go prequel. So whatever, I'll skip it. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, on the other hand, I have had many people tell me it's the best Star Trek show of all of them, and I can't freaking figure it out. The ending, I will give it for the fact of it's in there somewhere.
I thought it was in the worst.
The ending, it was on one of the best. Yeah, people call it one of the best. The ending I will give it is absolutely a good close end to the show. They give all the characters a proper send off. They do it in a fulfilling way. The problem was Deep Space Nine. I just really didn't like the show. The characters kind of sucked, even though they gave them a good send off. People like war shows, and that's what Deep Space Nine ended up being. And I don't know who was there. I wish I had someone to argue with me on this, because I could be potentially swayed of something I'm missing on this show, but it didn't have the life lessons, almost the human condition that Star Trek Next Generation did. So it's good in the sense that it ended the show well, but I don't think it was that good of a show overall, despite what the ratings say.
Well, that season 3 is a fucking roller coaster ride of good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Holy shit.
It was starting to delve into what people wanted from the show, but also was still putting in these, the filler episodes, I guess is the best way to say it, where it's like, we're going to have a random episode where people think Chief O'Brien's a god. Well, then we'll go into the fact that we're fighting this overarching enemy that people actually really need to worry about, and that will be the plot throughout the entirety of the show. And then we're going to go back to the fact that Major Kira is, thinks that, somebody liked her mom or not.
So you're basically,
it's a weird mix of shows.
So you're saying it basically hop between like adventure of the week and actually full-fledged like plot line through the season back and forth?
Yes.
That doesn't work. Every show I've watched that tries to do that, man, tonally the shows are a nightmare when you do that. It's so brutal.
Dave, is Orville, before you go, is that, if it's not on on a list, does it belong on any of these, or would you say?
So here's what you're hurting me on is I don't want it to be the finale. I don't want the ending to be the finale, if you know what I mean.
Well, right, but I think it is at least for now.
I know. If it is the finale, the penultimate episode is one of the better. I think one of the best finales ever. I think the penultimate episode is better than the finale by a long stretch of imagination. The penultimate episode is one of the best ever. Sean, I can't wait to watch it with you. And but the finale is fun. That's the best thing I can say for it. It's like, if you know the characters, if you get there, go through that whole show and be like, man, I started to really like these characters. The ending is fun. And that's the best thing I can say. So is it a good finale? No. Is it a good episode? Sure. It makes you feel good. How's that?
Yeah, I like it.
So,
Dave, what's nice is I have a feeling, looking into my crystal ball, this is going to be a multi-week thing, especially with Cody and I here. So you will probably get another chance to weigh in on some of this.
I want to hear Chris talk about Scrubs before I go. If that's something we can do before we take off, because I know how Chris feels about Scrubs.
Sure.
I'm just curious how highly you rate the actual end of the show, the end of season 8.
Let's jump around. Scrubs is up here at 21, and we can see a few notable issues. Number one, we have the clip episode of season 6.
That's why.
People hate clip episodes.
They do.
People hate clip
episodes. Well, that's because back then you waited a whole week for television, and then that was what you got, and you felt betrayed. It's such a different climate now that people forget.
There's a reason why we don't do these anymore.
We can see the stark difference here between everything in season 9, which is the follow-up season that wasn't supposed to happen, that was supposed to be a spin-off that they forced to rebrand as the main show. And granted, they're still all above average, but everything's like a 6. But the actual finale of the show is the finale here, which is a 9-7, and I think it actually is one of the best episodes of the series.
Yep.
As a two-parter.
Isn't that like actually the finale though? Like really, like
truthfully, it is for all intents and purposes of what you give a shit about, which is actually why. I mean, the last season is bad. Don't get me wrong. It's made worse by the fact that the send-off was so fucking good.
Yeah.
Then it's like, I don't want to see these characters anymore. At least, and I really don't want to see them in the world that we created for the 9th season to begin with. It's just it's just awkward and uncomfortable. Like, it just felt weird the whole time.
Do we know if the new show is just like retconning season 9, or
We don't.
Chris and I have texted each other back and forth about this, wondering literally that.
Yeah.
There's going to be some things they need to address. Judy Reyes needs to be back. They just kind of dropped Carla out of nowhere for season 9. She's not the only main cast member, but she's the most prominent one. And we'll have to see. You know, there are certain folks like Ted who have passed away since then. Now, Ted's not a main cast member, but he was definitely in the ancillary cast by the end.
Kelso's passed away too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're both gone. Like, that whole dynamic of the show that is gone with those two.
And you'll get some of the others, and a lot of the folks have already signed on, and more news about it keeps dropping. So we'll see. If nothing else, it's going to feel more like the previous version of Scrubs. Will it keep that same magic almost 15 years later? I don't know.
Some of those commercials are pretty good.
I will give it the benefit of the doubt, because as much as we've critiqued Ted Lasso and the back end of that with the creators of that and Scrubs, like, all same thing, I'm optimistic about it because they've had some time to think things over and tweak the dynamic and stuff like that. I want to know what the setup is, because like I might watch the first episode and be like, yeah, I'm out. Like, nothing against it, but it's just not what I really want to watch at that point. I mean, that's what, like, I don't even know if I finished season 9 when I watched it. It was just awkward. And yeah, I mean, part of rewatching Scrubs all the way through is because I know it ends really well. That's actually part of the enjoyable part about going through the whole series again.
And if you cut this off where it was meant to be, this would be a +1.9, so it'd be a +1.7. So on the relative list, Scrubs would be 8th. It'd be above The Office as far as finale versus average. If you did season 8 where it was meant to be, but because of season 9, it's on the worst list instead. It's a big difference.
What are the couple spikes that are really good in Scrubs early on? I'm curious if it's what I assume it is.
You can guess a few episodes probably. If I can get this drop down menu to go away, maybe I can highlight things. My screw up is a pretty notable one.
It is legitimately, in my opinion, one of the best episodes of television I've ever watched in my entire life.
Yeah.
It throws you for a loop. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I believe
is.
it's the one with Brendan Fraser in it, right?
My
it
Fallen
really
Idol,
throws you for a bad loop.
My Fallen Idol's another Cox-heavy episode.
Another
and,
excellent episode of television.
the best episode of Scrubs, and if I keep highlighting these, we're going to keep seeing them, are the ones that they juggle drama and comedy. The show was able to walk in both lanes, unlike most other sitcom comedies, especially of that era, in a way that now the ones that really resonate with fans are the ones that can still bring a smile to your face while also tugging at heartstrings. They were able to do both effectively in a way that a lot of shows can't.
You just also built up Cox as being one of the most hardened characters you pretty much have watched on TV. And in those two that spike up, it's when he is down pretty bad for part of it, and we actually see his acting is just unbelievable in that. Again, it's one of the just stands out television wise.
Yeah, never won any awards, did John C. McGinley as Dr. Cox.
Still really
in
surprised by
retrospect, that looks like a fuck up.
Yeah, really surprised by that.
Yeah. Like at the time, I'd be like, well, I'm biased because I'm a huge fan. And now that we look back on how well regarded the show was, yeah, you probably fucked up not giving him a Best Supporting Actor.
Specifically around season 3, when you have the episode with Brendan Fraser and that arc of stuff.
Yeah,
like that, and probably 5 too. Those are the two that obviously are where those episodes are. But it's like those are just strong seasons in general, and he's carrying a lot of the actual drama weight and grounding that from two guys running around being doofuses with each other the entire time.
Yep.
So before I jump off, I've got to think. I got the question to ask of what do you look for in a finale, like to make it good? Like what do you want? Because I think I know, but like I'm curious what people would think. What the best way to make this finale?
I was thinking about this when I looked at both the good lists and not so much the bad list. The bad list, we know what went wrong. You know, it went away from what made the show good. It did things that were not true to his characters. It left things completely unresolved. We can look at the list of bad ones and we'll keep looking at it more. The good ones, I think, need to juggle a satisfying ending without being wish fulfillment. I think there are times when finales of shows have tried too hard to cater to having like great send-offs for all these characters that are beloved, and as a result, it's felt more like pandering than it has good television. So it's not about like, oh, we got to give the fans everything they want. It's like you got to give these characters what they deserve, not so much fans what they want, and a lot of times those two things will take care of each other.
Yeah, I think you I was thinking loyal to what the show is. And I was like, not necessarily, but it can't betray what the show was, which is when I think of a bad one, like that's what it did. It can surprise you, but it can't betray you and everything that it stood for. And usually it can't spit in the face of fans, which I can think of a few finales that are on the bad list that literally it feels like we want to do our own thing and fuck you. And it's like, okay, I don't know why fuck me. I thought we were on this together, but okay. Well, the 100, which is on that list, which we might get to. Very great example.
I can't talk because I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, well.
We're finishing up season 5 right now.
Okay.
I'm very excited to go back to hear Sean's rant about this. I will listen because I know how much Sean loved that show.
Yeah. And so the last almost full season, and then they were like, you know what? Yeah, fans, thanks for sticking with us. Fuck you.
Yeah, I might just leave since I don't know. I actually don't know what happens, and Ryan and I are very much enjoing that show. That show's so much better.
You should consider stopping the season before the last season because I did, and I'm happy with it.
We'll see. Dave, your question's really tough because I look at it like what type of show are we talking about? Which is I'm trying not to keep this too long.
Oh yeah.
Like How I Met Your Mother, we know what the end point is. So what I want in the end of the show is basically to feel like I watch this show and I just meet the mom and they cast her well and she's entertaining, which they did, and then they fucked it. Like, that's how I wanted that show to end, but that's because I knew where it was going. Same with Clone Wars is up here as a really good finale. I know how Clone Wars is going to end. It's going to end with all the clones fucking killing the Jedi because that's how Clone Wars works. Like, I know, I've seen the movie. So when you preset me up for what I know it's going to be, I want to make sure that gap is bridged correctly and like logically from everything that has built it up. How much of the other didn't do it, and Clone Wars did, especially when Clone Wars came back. And I think that finale that they have is the 8 episode arc that was on Netflix, which ended amazingly well.
They're almost all really highly ranked.
Yeah. That last season when he had a short mini-series version of Ideas Left to make sure because it got canceled and he plopped it on there, fucking nails it. Then there's like comedy, and I struggle with comedy finales because they get too sappy every single time. I watched your show, and Scrubs is a little bit different because, again, to Chris's point, that's a lot of balance of drama and comedy inherently because it's a show about a hospital where people die. Like, I don't actually like The Office's finale as much as the average person does.
That's incorrect, but that's okay.
I don't. I'm not. It's not bad, but like you base it around an event and stuff like that, and that's what comedy seems to do. They lean on to base it around an event, set everything up, and do this and that. But like, I don't like The Office's little kumbaya song at the end. I just fucking don't. It's too sentimental for me for what that show is, and I want to laugh. I'm glad that like Steve Carell pops up and is at the wedding and things like that. That's excellent. But when we lean really hard into like sappiness, it's like, no, I want you to make me laugh about as hard as I possibly could during that show. And that's a really hard thing for comedy to do. Because again, it feels like almost every single one of them has to build to event special episode type of ending. Like I'm blanking on exactly what Friends' finale is based around because I haven't watched it for a while. But I think it was like they are moving out and everyone's moving on with their lives. Parks and Rec fast forwards ahead to the future and all that. And Parks and Rec, I think, does a little bit better job without being too sappy. But that show also was.
I don't even love the last season of Parks. I don't
either, honestly.
Love it.
Exactly. It's fine.
Yeah.
I actually think the finale is fit better for its last season than the series as a whole, if that makes sense. Because we time jumped into her working for all that stuff, and we got away with what the show was doing anyway.
Yep.
And so it's like I think I just struggled to finish comedies in general. It's funny because like Superstore is ranked really high, a show I actually did watch all the way through, and also went from being goofy stupid to like being pretty serious sometimes. And I feel like more and more comedies have started to try and lean into that, where it's like they're already touching on some serious stuff and it's not over the top funny the whole fucking time for the most part. And I don't know, most comedies, like, I just haven't fully enjoyed the finale as much as I have dramas that have comedy infused into it. Like, I mean, again, I texted and said, Justify's not on this list. That fucking finale was amazing. That payoff of that show was great. And that show's occasionally funny, but it's also really dramatic.
I also think, Dave, my last question to you, and then I know you have to go. Like the finale, I call it like if you Professor Layton something, where like now we've accepted, if the show we've accepted your premise, and then in the very last few episodes, you're like, just kidding, it's all been a twist. And you're like, okay. But like I was already on board with what you had me believing the whole time. So
the Good Place struggled with that a little bit.
I would say yes. And even you reminded me what was the first example? Not Star Wars. How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
It's like they felt like they had to surprise and shock everybody. It's like I think people would have just accepted had you made it with the mother being her. Yeah. And like just gone with that because everybody thought that you didn't have to have this weird twist.
You finished the wedding. You say that Robin and Barney got divorced a couple years later while Ted lived happily ever after with his wife. And you flashed through a couple scenes of them like they did before they kill her. I'm like, man, if you cut the last like 4 minutes of the series, I'm like, dope, man. This is great.
Yeah.
You cast a great actress. In fact, I want a dumb sitcom of Ted and her just growing up with their kids. I'm like, I would have literally rewatched a whole series reboot of Ted and Christina Milioti just being parents. I would have watched the shit out of that. As funny as it is. But like they just couldn't help themselves to your point with the last 4 minutes.
Yep. Dave, you got to go.
Your children are yelling at you.
We'll get through some of this.
I know.
And we'll probably continue when you're back at some point.
That was 35 minutes.
I imagine because we only
probably
have
next
20
week.
minutes left.
Yeah, probably next week. So excellent. I will be in Flagstaff next week with everybody. My son is here bothering me. So
okay.
All right.
He's not bothering you. He
Get
wants to
outta
spend
here.
time with his father on vacation.
We've been doing that for
All right.
Okay.
I was cutting out everything's going to shit.
He's just-
Goodbye.
All right, goodbye.
Did he just turn it off?
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
He just closes the computer on him.
That's so funny.
Would be really fucking funny.
This is kind of funny.
All right, so we should like. How do we want to do this?
I don't know. I mean, we went all over the goddamn place, which is fine because there's a lot of excitement about it, so I have no qualms with it. But it's like if I thought about it, we would have just gone through like, oh, here's the good list and saved the bad list for next week because there's plenty to say
No,
about
I like it
those.
this way. This is fun.
No, I think we should do that now. I think we were jumping mainly for Dave's benefit because there's only so much you can talk about.
Yeah.
I say we choose a list. Probably at this point, let's just start knocking down. I think the best, just the best, not relative.
I agree.
I think worst would be better for a 20-ish minute part.
Okay.
I think Best is going to take longer.
Oh, that's a good point.
So I think we should. I think I agree with like the premise. Let's keep those two together. But I think we should do Worst now.
Let's do Worst.
And then I guess next week. I mean, we can always hold off on the Disneyland thing. That's evergreen. So
Gives me more time to ride all the rides on my
virtually
TV
ride
screen.
them.
That's true. So let's go back to the worst list then,
That's
and we'll
so
come back to
funny.
the best lists, both the relative one and the all-time one.
And we'll just go down.
Let's just go down the list here and talk about it. House of Cards, we know what happened.
Yeah.
Season 6, Kevin Spacey is gone.
Yep.
And his character is dead. And the show should have died. It was an awkward situation. We know all the reasons why that happened. I don't know what they could have done differently. I guess you could have just ended it after season 5. But it
Yeah.
falls off a cliff for very
Very
specific
Scrubs-esque
reasons.
finish there.
I don't even know. The truth is, I don't know if the show gets bad or if people are just mad because the main character.
Is it getting? Is it like?
that,
Is it like review bombing? Like, are they just
I
being like,
don't
I'm not going to
know.
accept this
I
under
don't
any
know what
circumstance?
happened.
I've heard both.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think that's part of why the finale goes further off a cliff, because the whole season's down there is considerably, like 3 points or so below the average of the first 5 seasons. But then the finale is another further, like 2 points below that.
Yeah. Doesn't Brian Cox show up in that and tried at some point?
I will tell you, I never watched House of Cards.
I know Robin Wright.
Surprisingly,
Robin Wright like took over. She was in it, and then it became
Brian
more about her.
Cox feels like given his involvement in like Bourne and then everything else he's done like lately in his career.
Yeah.
That feels like a person that would show up.
I'm gonna look that up later, but anyways, Game of Thrones. Yeah, I mean, terrible. And we've gone in depth on this one. I almost don't even feel like we need to do it again.
Not
but
particularly, but you can see why the entire season struggled.
just
It starts off below average, but hanging in there, and then the last 4 episodes are just like, bye.
And it's funny because those 3 episodes, I believe that's leading up to the longest night big battle fight, and that's really where things start to go downhill.
So the 3 of the final season, and then it bottoms out after
yeah,
you guys
the
leave after that.
the first 3 of the final season, not bad. Although they chose a bad format. Every episode, I think, is like a movie, which I already disagreed with because now people are like, why are we rushing through the season? In some ways they are, and in some ways it feels like they are because by episode 3, so much has happened. But every episode is 2 hours.
Were you going like 2 hours length, really?
I believe each one is
shit.
at least 90 minutes. They're long.
yeah.
That's bizarre. That's a bizarre approach, but okay.
Oh, they were just like, we're done. But like, let's just fucking get this over. It's Starbucks. Yeah, that's fine. Leave it.
Yeah,
Right.
like, I've laughed all that stuff, and
Yeah.
as a person who never had a particular interest in watching the show, enjoying its downfall in the last couple episodes is pretty satisfying. Even though I'm well aware it's actually a good show until
It's
then.
like they had AI, right? Like, but this is before the time, obviously, but like, it hits all the beats, but in a bad way that isn't believable to anybody or true to anything, and it's just terrible.
And it's confusing to me because we talked about this at the time. You know, like, why rush it? This is your cash cow. Everybody loves this show. Take as much time as you need. Wait for George R.R. Martin or not. I was hoping that with the benefit of like 6 years, we would have more hindsight on this now. Like someone would have come out and given us some kind of oral history about like, oh yeah, it was HBO execs who pushed for this, or these people, or the showrunners, or this or that. And it's just kind of like faded into nothingness. And I would love to know more about what the fuck happened with this season.
The thing,
like specifically.
the thing that I have heard the most of, now I don't think they've gone on record saying this, but pretty reliable sources, they were ready to move on. George Martin said, you guys really shouldn't. Like, you could probably mine this for 4 more seasons. And they're like, no, we have other things to go to. We have Star Wars on the horizon. We're going to end it. And they did, and it was bad. And they lost Star Wars because of it. So,
Yeah. So at least they got what they deserved.
yeah.
Can we search for shows, or the only shows available are the ones that are on this list?
I could look up other ones, but they're not going to be as handy. I think there could be. I don't know for sure.
I'm getting at Succession.
I messed around with some data points and stuff, clicking on things, looking at stuff, but I don't know how
Succession's
much.
good.
I'm really curious because I thought Succession's finale, I don't think like spikes like in a review thing, but from like a steady that's where we should have
It might be on
gone.
the steady one.
I feel like it would just be steady all the way across, and its
Yeah.
finale might match the rest of its show.
We
and
gotta
I was
wait for that one.
and I was actually just curious if that's where like
Well, I
how
know,
that show's
but
reviews.
we are on the worst one now.
No, I know. You said HBO and like finishing shows
and
on
Brian
HBO.
Cox and yeah.
They
It
just
started
gone,
to
and you're
get in my
still
head.
jumping around.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't care about. We talked about Dexter.
We talked
actually.
about Dexter,
I
and there's
don't give a shit about 2.5 Men. Although I will say, it's not a show that I liked, but I did feel like them getting mad at Charlie Sheen and being like "fuck you" to his character was also kind of a "fuck you" to any fans that the show had.
It is.
And I don't know why they did that.
That's taking petty bullshit out
Yeah.
on the fans who watched your show for Too long is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And that's just bullshit. That's just, I think you're reconciling issues and all that in a really bizarre way, and that's just why the fuck was the point of that?
Yeah.
And like you can see the exact point. Like that drop between seasons is where they killed Charlie Sheen's character, and the average rating for it plummeted by like 2.5 points, which is ironic given the name. And then the finale was like a further kick in the balls where it was like spitting on the fans. So it was like, okay, you were fucking pissed about the Charlie Sheen thing, but we hung around a little bit. It sort of kind of recovered uphill a little bit, and then the final season was bad, and then the finale was atrocious.
Yep. These I don't know. In Ragnarok, I think it's a Viking show. Power, I don't know.
I think Mythbusters is fascinating.
Yeah, what happened here?
Well, I'll show you the episode description of the first one of the last season, and you'll know what happened. So here's the last one of like the wrong window. Sorry, the last one of the previous season is like, let's see, Mythbusters do this, like Jamie and Adam do blah blah blah. The first episode of the final season is John and Brian, because they recast everybody.
Oh,
yeah, I was like, that's not the
that.
same people.
And they were like, oh, we'll keep it going. People like the format. It's like, no, they like the personalities. They like the main two, but they also like Grant and the other side folks.
Was there drama there, or did they just leave?
Well, the two of them never really super got along.
Oh.
They were like co-workers, and they were like amicable, but they both talked at length about how like, they weren't super friendly. They never hung out outside of the show. And then Grant died. And I think that was maybe the plan was like Grant and others from the side would maybe step in and take over. And instead they had some brand new folks come in, and the whole thing, you can see what happened.
It's kind of like Top Gear.
Kinda.
Yeah,
that's probably a good comp, honestly.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We're seeing a theme of maybe in shows when Maisie's
Grant died.
Maisie's about 7 years late on that one.
When did he pass? I want to say it was like 2019. Let me see.
We're seeing a theme of just like
2020.
Maybe stop.
Yeah.
At an
shows like you're so desperate to, and granted you're gonna get the money out of it because people are still watching those shit seasons. 2.5 Men's a little bit funnier because I feel like people really should have stopped watching sooner because you let that linger a long time. But if it's making money on ad sales and it's still popular enough and popping the ratings, people are like, fingers crossed, I hope it gets better, or subscribing when it comes to like Dexter and shit like that. It's like, no, shows probably need to end.
Well, let's keep an eye out for we're not going to see it on this list, but like, I'm curious if the inverse is ever true. Like if a show was like, oh, this actor's leaving or they're going through a big change, but they kept it going and then it ended up being a good decision. I don't immediately have an example, but maybe when we do the other list,
I think we'll see him.
That's a good point, though. You're right. Like
I don't know, but we see all the time, like
because I think like Parks,
they kept it going.
Parks and The Office start out rough, and they actually get better as it goes on.
Especially Parks,
and Parks I think ends before it dips back down like The Office did.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anyone like leaving and then the show being like, actually I can. Parks and Rec, Brandanowitz leaves that show and Adam Scott and Rob Lowe come in and the show does literally get better. So actually,
that's one of them.
And again, season 2's not even bad at that show, but those characters over him are way better.
You know, I think as we talk about that, The Flash, I don't know about a lot of these shows, by the way.
Yeah, which is fine. We'll just talk about the ones that are relevant. But look at The Flash, like. The data points in this are so interesting because the Flash just consistently kind of goes downward the whole time.
And that's an example where they probably should have ended it. They were bringing in kind of weird new characters and I'm just stretching it longer than it could go. And I don't think that their budget was going up at the same time. So it was just getting harder to animate this.
It's a CW show, right?
Character, yeah.
Yeah, and that network's obviously got its everything issues.
Yeah.
At least Supernatural carried him for a long time, and Smallville to an extent.
That's true.
By the way, this is a 4-part finale, and the first part starts out okay.
Yeah.
And then the second parts are both and the third parts, and then the fourth part is blah.
Did you say 4-part finale?
That's correct. That's why this episode finale. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry.
Oh God, no, I can't.
Yeah.
You're right.
Part
I didn't
4,
even read that
Chris,
it says that.
Can you go into the spike in season 5 on the Flash?
The low ones.
No, sorry, the high one.
These two here. Elseworlds, part 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah, okay. And then can you do the spike on the next season?
The down one or the up one?
The up one.
The ending of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which also part 1 is pretty well rated too.
And these are all, so it's interesting that these spikes from 2 seasons in a row are just the crossover events.
Yeah, and then of course right after it seems like, oh, they had this nice 3-part episode that clicked. Here's one of the worst in the entire series called Love is a Battlefield.
Yeah. There's one where there's a nuke that goes off and he like has to stop time while the nuke is literally going across the city. And it's great. I was hoping to see it. But anyways, okay. So I don't know anything about Scream as we go down this. We talked about Star Trek.
And Scream's interesting because that's just the entire season 3 that's in the tank. So it's not like the
so
finale's
bad,
bad. The
yeah.
whole season is just bad. We talked about Enterprise. Did I mention why Enterprise was on here real quick? I was going to bring it full circle. I don't think I did. Enterprise is on here. From my understanding, I never watched this show, but because this is like, they did it in the holodeck. It's like Riker and somebody else, and it's like a time skip that's a holodeck episode that basically ignores the entire new cast of the show. It's baffling. It was like catering to the Next Generation fans, but it's like at this point, who fucking cares? It's the finale of this other show. Like, what are you fucking doing?
That's really weird.
So it was a curious decision because the show, as you can see, was all over the place, up and down. It certainly had its detractors because it wasn't Next Generation, and that's what people wanted. But then at the end, it was like, well, now it's not Enterprise either, so good luck.
Yeah.
So curious decision. Veronica Mars.
Yeah,
is
I was
an
like,
interesting one.
I don't
Can
know
I
this
hop
one.
on that really quick?
Yeah,
Sure.
please. I don't know anything.
So that, as you'll see, 04 to 19. So
Yeah.
seasons 1, 2, and 3 happen normally. Then there's a movie that they did in 2014 or so. Then that's a reboot season there at the end. I have never watched the 4th season.
Okay.
I didn't have any interest. I actually, as you see the decent peak on the end of 3, and this show got, I believe, canceled if I remember right, and people were blummed and it had a cult following and all that. But they brought it back and it was okay. If I remember right on casting and things, I didn't really like what they set up for the new version of it, so I didn't bother. But like, just as a side tangent, that episode and that last season are pretty removed from what the show actually was, because I want to say, I could look it up, but I don't really take the time. I want to say like season 3 happens. That's like a 10-year plus gap from season 3 to season 4.
Yeah.
And so that's why that's an outlier. And like, I mean, Chris, if you do the numbers and math, if you just get rid of the second finale, that show is not on this list. Or it's not a bad show in any way.
Oh, no.
No.
Its average, even with that, is a 7.8, so it's probably around an 8 or so.
So do you know what happens in the finale?
I
then?
don't actually.
Oh,
I'm
so
assuming something stupid happens with the stupid
everyone
setup.
dies.
I just mostly was going to be like, for anyone who has ever been interested in this show, it's like, it's a very good show.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a shame it started on, I believe, UPN was what CW was called when it started.
Oh, yeah.
It's that old. It's a pretty damn good show, and I see why it had a cult following. That's actually what got me into it, and I was happy with where we kind of wrapped up, and boy, I had no clue
And
it was that much of a disaster.
We don't have a ton of success stories about TV shows coming back after long hiatuses and doing especially well.
We
Some have
say
been better
as
than
we
others.
were hoping Scrubs might not
Oh, I'm
suck.
not super hoping.
But
I mean,
yeah,
Bill
like,
Lawrence has shown us that he can still be a pretty strong showrunner with how Ted Lasso started, and supposedly he faded more to the background in seasons 2 and 3, which weren't as good.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
UPN 45.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
Yes,
was
indeed.
the-
Indeed,
Where the
Veronica
Suns
Mars
games
is
were.
04 to 07, and then it drops back 12 years later, and
Yeah.
that's just not. Never mind the fact that the actress who's your star of that show, kind of in a different space at the point 12 years later than being like a smart-ass teenager.
Yeah, I look at I don't know any of these either.
Yeah, we won't spend a
Shameless.
ton of time here. I just think it's funny because, like, look at Shameless, which consistently arcs upward towards good season finales, which Justified also does, by the way, when we get to the good side. And yet the series finale fell off a cliff.
Yeah, and I just eyeballing it is the lowest episode of the entire run, which is what you don't really want for your finale.
That's tough. And then Good
which I
Girls
guess-
is like consistently mid its entire time. It's like the epitome of a 7.5 its entire run until the final episode where it falls off a cliff by 2 points.
Yep. Good Girls. I don't even know that show.
It's the
Good Girls?
What's her Good Girls? I don't know. I know Girls.
Yeah, I
don't
know
what Good
Girls. I don't know
is.
Good Girls.
Right.
And I've heard, and again, I never watched Girls. I don't think that show was really designed for me to be watching it. But I was well aware of its disastrous
Yeah.
finish.
Oh, hey, Westworld.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad. I didn't watch it past the first season.
Okay.
What a show designed for a one-season run. Why did they end it the way
Holy
that they did? If they it's so perfectly unlimited series.
So like Raya loves Westworld's first season. And I remember like vaguely watching it at times where she was watching it. She rewatched it. I watched part of it and I'm like, it's a pretty fucked up show. But I'm like, I get what it's trying to tell me right now. And then it ends, I think the first season ends and I'm like, well, that was actually pretty solid, like nice miniseries.
Yep.
And she's like, no, it's like, I think it's gonna come back. I'm like, to do what? To do fucking what? And I remember her watching episodes in like season 3, and now we're out of the world and we're in the regular world.
Yeah.
I'm like, what
Why?
the fuck is this
Yeah,
shit?
why? Yeah, it was you betrayed the whole really premise of the show, and it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
It
again,
just didn't
it's an excellent 1, maybe 2 season show,
Yeah.
and I don't know what you're doing when you break, but that show just quietly went away too, just
Yeah.
gone
From-
after being a phenomenon.
Exactly. From what I've heard on Supernatural, I wonder if that rating is unfair. I've actually heard the finale is good, except for one decision that some fans are mad about. And I won't spoil it.
We're spoiling everything.
One of the brothers dies in a very like random way that fans are like. So he fought like God, but he dies to a rebar, and they were mad about it, and that was it. So I suspect I have heard it's a great finale, but just like that one decision people didn't like, and they kind of bombed it.
I
Which
did
is
not realize
sort of akin
Supernatural
to How
was
I
on
Met Your
TV for
Mother,
that long.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Same idea. Like most people like most of the How I Met Your Mother finale, but that one thing.
yeah. And then Chris, can we look at the negative spike on the 100 because I don't think it'll spoil what why.
You can go over that. I have a vague idea of where we go in the world, and all that.
It'll have an episode description.
That's
I'm
okay.
sure.
That's perfectly fine.
But there's a specific. Yeah. See, that's not going to be.
Can I take a wild guess?
Yeah.
Is that when we kill Bellamy?
Yeah. I would guess. I would strongly guess that's when you kill Bellamy.
Which, by the way, I would rate that basically a 0.
Yeah.
At that
Now,
point.
yeah, best character, and then having the other best character killing that character for no good reason. He wanted off the show. I know it's complicated. At the end of the day, though, that's not my problem. Behind the scenes, I'm judging what we're getting on air.
Who kills him? Just you can spoil it. It's fine.
Clark.
Clark
It's
is-
like
so his wife in real life kills
Yeah.
him. That's bizarre.
It's some like impossible decision thing, which is all that.
Which
show
is the whole
does.
fucking show.
Yeah.
But guess what? If she hadn't killed Bellamy after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons,
Yeah.
why the fuck are you gonna do it in 7?
And it was like I think it was really forced, and it didn't feel natural.
Because I know they have to do they get judged. I know some of
which is also
what
so
we get
bad.
into.
Which is why the finale is so bad. Because it's also like they fail in every way, but then they're trying to say, like, yeah, they're losers, but at least they get to be together now. And you're like, why is that?
Again,
That's not the show.
Another
Right.
show where in 1, 2, 4, and 5 you have spike finales each time. I'm surprised. I actually like season 3. I'm surprised it's rated that low. But like again, that show's much more consistent for again a CW show.
Look at the spike on 5.
Well, that's what's interesting to me is like
I'm almost there.
it starts off in a middling point,
Which
it
is I have not
climbs.
enjoyed, and I see the dip of what I'm not enjoying.
Season 3 drops off a little bit and then a lot, but it climbs out of it over the next season and a half.
Well, there's also a reason why in season 3 there's a drop off on that, and it's kind of a bullshit reason if I'm remembering right.
Is that Lexa?
I think it's Lexa's
I
death,
think so.
and that's a review bombed drop basically.
Yeah, but it maintains for a while, so I guess people were either angry for a while and kept downvoting it, or they just weren't satisfied with the overall quality. It's just interesting because like that's pretty consistent. It has ebbs and flows. You look at Supernatural, which has so many more seasons, but since that's more of like a flavor of the week show, it's all over the fucking place, like an EKG. Whereas the 100 has like climbs and then fall, fall.
Yep.
Yeah, I've said, and I'm like, if the 100 was made today, and we made it almost exactly the same, and you put it on HBO or Showtime and gave it a bigger budget, that show is going to be one of the most popular shows in the world.
Yep. I totally agree.
Without
Underappreciated
question.
for sure.
It's really good. It's really dramatic. It touches on a lot of serious shit, and it got put on and adapted onto a network that had no ability to make it look good at times.
Yep.
And no offense, there's no budgeting for casting that show a little bit better in some spots.
I don't know Ozark yet. I've watched about half of it. That makes me nervous to keep going.
That's not really that much of a dip. It's
No,
not
I
great.
guess that's true.
No, it's just compared to the overall show, people were just were kind of
That's
mad
another
about
one
it.
where it looks like it's maybe the lowest rated of the whole show.
Castle,
because the main actor of that has prompted me to wonder what the fuck Arrested Development looks like, but
oh yeah,
that's a search for another day.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
Castle I know a little bit of just because I know my aunt and uncle watched a lot of that show, so like it's pretty consistently like decent television the whole run, and then there's casting issues the final season, and like the main female lead runs into some issues about just leaving, and there's rumors now about her and Nathan Fillion not getting along whatsoever, and just this whole thing to where the last season kind of felt underwhelming. So it's not really just that the finale was bad, it's more like everything towards the end was kind of bad, and the finale was like the punctuation on the, well, it's not going to get any better.
I don't watch a ton of shows that are in the castle realm of how episodic it works and things like that. How the fuck do you end those shows? Because a lot of some stuff carries over from one episode to the other, but I'm always fascinated by like how do you end that type of thing where like you just have the biggest bad guy of all time that you have to catch. I never always wondered how those work and like what the finales of those shows look
An
like.
example, I do have one. I don't watch a lot of these shows.
Well, Burn Notice ended with some pretty significant stakes, and it's very much a do a good deed of the week type of show. You can call those things by like 19 different names. But it ended up killing off a character or two that was pretty major. Like it raised the stakes significantly for that. Castle kind of was in between those. We mentioned like there's like a monk where Monk's whole thing is to get like closure on his wife's death, so they can at least build to that. The whole thing with Burn Notice was, well, how did Michael get burned, and like, is he going to get back in? So there's ways you can do it with the overarching stuff that you can tease throughout a season with like little 2-minute, 3-minute things per episode. Castle didn't seem to bother with that. I think it's just because the entire last season was rushed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like how do you end Law and Order? Like that right. That's my example. Like how do we end NCIS? Well, we don't because they're in season 37. But like that's the stuff where I'm like, how the fuck do you do finales for that type of? It's just a fascinating like. I just don't watch enough of them to where I'm like, I watch Law and Order casually because I'm like, oh, I'm entertained by this as a random thing on TV, but I have no investment to the characters and what goes forward.
At some point, it's not going to be because it's ongoing. I would love to look at Grey's Anatomy just to see. Point. I would think it's just going to be over the course of just a slow death. A show that should have ended as we 5 different times.
As we recast and milk it, and it's
recast, milk it. Kill the cast, a new cast, then kill them too.
It's a fascinating. You're right.
It's the most dangerous hospital in the world.
It's a fascinating thing because, like, for a long time we mock daytime soap operas, right? Like, it's not really good TV. It's just filler. You do realize a handful of the long-running television shows are fucking primetime soap operas, and Grey's Anatomy is the greatest example of that. Of if you put that at 11 a.m. Tell me it doesn't fit in basically with the god-awful daytime soap opera acting that where you're at now.
And I'm sorry.
It's such a good example.
I just want to say one more thing. There's a character I like. Her name is Lexa. I believe she's the sister of the main girl, Meredith. Okay. I was like, I actually like the character a lot. What happens to her, I wonder? Plane crash. She dies and her body's eaten by wolves while the sister listens. Cool.
What?
Fucking great. Awesome.
It just shows you, life's unpredictable. You never know.
Sure do, yeah.
Because like there's other ones of those shows that work. Again, I never watched it consistently. I think Chris, you did like House.
Yep.
There's a premise in House that makes some sense of like it's episodic, but you're right. There's a through line of character stuff, even if some people come and go as doctors, whatever it might be. But that show works to where you're getting to a finale point because you do interrupt the episode of the week thing for some little arcs here and there of where we're at, and so like that stuff makes sense. But like, there's other ones like that where I'm just like. What are you're just when are you going to end the show?
Yeah.
And the answer is ideally never, just like why Law and Order has ended some versions of itself, but like SVU has gone on forever, and I think Criminal Intent's going on.
Yeah.
These are in like 30 season arc, which is like cool if you're making money.
Yeah. I mean, look, the same question is going to come to something that's very different, but like, how do you end The Simpsons?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do we end South Park?
Now?
Like,
yeah, how do you end South Park, which is re-upped for 10 episodes a year for like 6 years? They finally got that deal through after weeks of negotiation. And because though, especially The Simpsons, because you go so far back into when it started, we haven't experienced ending shows like that a whole lot. No.
Like how many extremely long running 20 plus season shows, like you either like end at like 9 or 10 or you're still on the air.
Yeah.
I like
Family Guy's now booked through I think 2029.
Yeah. And it was
already?
Like, what's the season finale look like for a show that's in like 17 seasons? And like how many season finales have happened from season 13 to the onward? And I don't think that many shows have ended in that way yet.
You kind of make a good point because I know It's Always Sunny. I don't remember what fucking season. And I'm glad they didn't end it.
This is a good example,
too.
But
they had an episode where it was like, they could have ended there. I think it was the one where they all almost drowned in the boat. The cruise ship was and then they kept going, and it's good because they're still high quality. But they bypassed what could have been a natural endpoint. So.
And you have just answered I answered my part of my own question, what Dave just asked earlier and stuff like that. How is Seinfeld not on this list? As a person who loves Seinfeld, has watched it, then loved watching Curb, and then Curb basically just redid a Seinfeld finale in a really funny way. I'm shocked that Seinfeld does not show up.
Was that the end of the list? 37?
Yes.
Oh, I thought we're still going.
I think that's why that's why you were going.
No, that's why I.
It was everything with more than a 1.0 variance.
Okay.
And so you're gonna
7.8 on the Seinfeld finale.
Seinfeld's finale, people like don't like, and I'm like, how did you want that show to end? And I've always appreciated Larry David's like, the fuck did you want us to do? These aren't good people. We weren't writing good human beings. We watched them be dicks over and over again, or just stupid. And I'm like, I actually never have minded the Seinfeld finale. I think it's because you talk about slap in the face, and it's like, well, Larry David's kind of an angry, grumpy asshole. So he's the type of person I would expect a slap in the face from in my finale. And then what he just did in Curb and how he ended that, which was teasing he was going to go to jail and then getting off. Like and then he looks at Jerry Seinfeld and says, "This is how we should have ended Seinfeld." It's straight up what he does. And I thought, like, waiting, what's that, like 20 years later, for the 22 years later, whatever, for the payoff of that was really fucking funny. Yeah. And if you watch Curb, you probably watch Seinfeld. I think that they kind of go hand in hand in a way from humor and the main creator of it. But yeah, that's why Seinfeld's not on there, because the finale is on IMDb is not actually rated that bad. And I actually think that's totally fair. I think that's somewhat of a hot take, but it's really not that bad.
You know, I'm interested. The Sopranos rating must be worse in word of mouth than the rating too, because all you hear about is it's one of the worst ever.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't on the list. I did not watch all the show. From what I heard about the finale, I thought it sounded pretty cool. Like, I thought thematically what it did by cutting to black was really interesting for like what that implies for the main character, who's now, whether that was a gunman or a pizza delivery guy, he's never going to know, and the rest of his life he's going to be living in fear.
Isn't the cool idea, especially when it comes to mafia and people just disappearing, like that's just a thing that exists in the real world of mafia stuff, isn't that kind of fitting and to the style of what that lifestyle is? Is it really that bad?
This is me. I shouldn't say this. I think a lot of stupid people were like, I can't believe they just cut to black.
Yeah.
I thought my cable got cut.
And I'm like, no, like,
it's just
all the themes of shows that work for a cut to black, we're not going to like tell you to let it be ambiguous. Isn't a mafia mob show the epitome of that actually fucking makes sense?
Yeah, and I think to Dave's point, what people wanted was a gunman to go in and just blow Gandolfini away.
Which is fine.
I thought
get
this
it.
was sort of more interesting, though, for the story that they're trying to tell about this paranoia. He's seeing a therapist the run of the show. Like, I think they kind of got what they wanted, so it's probably not rated terrible.
And the thing, I don't think that, to your point of everything you just said, it's like they're kind of hinting this is where they might go. Like they're not
9-4.
hiding it from you.
9-4 was
or
9-2.
There's two different numbers on the screen for some reason.
Was 9-4 the series? No,
I think 9-2 is the series over here, and I think 9-4 is the finale.
Yeah. So,
now there was some pushback, but I think that was a vocal minority situation.
Yeah,
and I guess it speaks to the overall point. Like, sometimes people just are so desperate to know exactly what happens because they have no imagination or ability to like connect the more subtle clues that they'll then see that as a negative. It also can be a negative sometimes, like the ending of Chuck suffered from that immensely.
Oh, yeah.
So,
you can't be too ambiguous.
Yes.
But like, I always go back to the Inception. I know somebody who said the end of Inception is bad because the storytelling, they should be good enough to be able to tell you what the ending is. And I think, well, in that case, they did because the whole point, they spoke to the thesis of the movie.
The main character was happy. It didn't matter if it was in reality or not.
Thank you, Cody. Exactly.
The whole show is telling you he doesn't give a fuck if he lives in reality or not. He just wants to be happy.
Yeah.
And the show shows you, or the movie tells you at the end, well, he's happy. And it took me a while to get there with that. Yeah. And I was like, no, that's actually pretty brilliant.
Because it doesn't matter to him anymore. And it's funny, if you go back and watch the movie, how many times he pulls out the top and he's like obsessed with what reality I'm in and so paranoid. And in the end, he's like, you know what? I'm where I want to be. And I've accepted whatever reality this is. And that's all you need to know.
We have the resolution with his wife, and that's that's the end. That's really, to me, the end of the movie.
You can theorize what it is, but you're missing the point.
Yes. And again, I appreciate that Nolan has basically held steadfast of like, leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly.
So as we wrap up, next week we'll go back to the best show endings again, just some of them relative to how average the show was and some of them just the best overall. You saw some of them as you scroll through the list if you're on the YouTube side. As we wrap up this one, are there anything that was not on the worst list that you thought should be? Because there are bad shows that have bad endings, but you're like, whatever, the whole show was bad. Of course the ending was bad. But like, most of the prominent examples that you can think of were here, and Cody brought up a couple of the ones that were at least somewhat controversial, like Seinfeld and The Sopranos. Is there something else that you watched that, whether it's critically regarded that way or just something you felt like wasn't satisfying, is there something else that comes to mind?
I'm trying to rack my brain for it.
I'm looking it up. I was nervous Lost was going to be on there, but I liked the ending. I think most people thought it was pretty solid.
What about 24?
I didn't watch this. I actually don't know.
24, actually, I think they came back with a season that was pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
and that might mess with that.
Yeah.
They had one bad season, and then they came back with a better season that kind of saved it. Actually, maybe that's kind of an example of the show that you could argue they should have killed it, but then they came back like a few years later, and it was one of the better seasons.
Which one are you talking
24.
about? 24, sorry. Yeah. That's what you're talking about.
It is funny to me that, oh no, the series is 8.2. What's the last episode ranked? You're not helping me here. I wanted to see what the last one for Chuck was, because my impression of it thinking back is that it was poor. First review, sorely disappointing, undeniably beautiful. Great. What's the overall score, assholes? I guess I don't get to know. A lot of people liked it. To be clear, there are plenty of things that were good about the finale. It's just one particular decision, like we talked about with a couple other ones, that I think left a bad taste in people's mouths, and I was one of them.
And I also think it's interesting, the perception versus reality of stats, because as I look up this article from Variety, they do have Seinfeld, and they do have The Sopranos, but like that's because in pop culture, they're kind of known as bad, whereas when we look at the statistics, it's like, actually, most people were kind of okay with it.
Yeah. And that's where I was like, I'm not going to let, I'm not going to let some of those, like, I get it. Seinfeld it's not that bad. Like, it's just, we need to not fucking do all that. I'm trying to think. There's a funny one that as I'm searching through that I remember as a kid, and it's a weird one. Is the ending of Dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs. I just was on that one,
and I was like,
it's terrible.
And that popped up, and I'm like, you know what's fucking wild? I'm like, I did not realize Dinosaurs was reviewed that well as a show.
It was reviewed, and then they were like, guess what? No comedy in the last episode. Everybody dies.
Everyone's gonna fucking die. Which
that's a
I
great
guess I didn't
example.
realize we were getting to that point of the dinosaurs. Clearly, all dinosaurs are going to die at some point. I didn't realize that we were running through the final years of dinosaur existence with this family, which, by the way, why did we have to make the dinosaurs show a reality type ending? They're dinosaurs going to work.
Yeah, and also, they didn't have to make it the main character's fault.
Yeah.
And he's stricken with guilt and reflecting on all the ways he's let down his family and the world.
Like, it's super dark, and I think you would classify that show as a comedy.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely
I loved
comedy.
that show as a kid.
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm like, wow, I should have gone back and watched Dinosaurs, because that was I really forgot how good of an that was. But
Roseanne is another great example of fuck you to the fans.
Yeah, see,
I didn't like the show, but
by the way, then they undid it.
They did undo it.
We undo it, and then we kill Roseanne.
Yeah.
Because there's Roseanne has effectively 3 finales. Then it's the original one, and then the one when it boots back up with her again, and then now we're in the Connors, which I just think is the extension of Roseanne. Really.
Yep.
I don't really know that Roseanne ended when the fact that Connors is still going, but yeah, that's another very good. Also, to be fair, Roseanne as a show goes off the deep end in the last season or two. It's just weird, and it gets we're just all over the place.
Yeah,
we're no longer in regular grounded sitcom. We're in fantasy weird land of Roseanne, because for whatever fucking reason, like we talk about jumping the shark, that's a show that jumped the shark.
Also, Gilmore Girls is another show I didn't like. I think it's infuriating, but it had a very unsatisfying ending too, for the tone that they went for the entire run.
I guess this is a good point, because as we're looking at this, like, I don't know that older shows like a Cheers, which I was curious about. I think this is all like 90s and beyond for the most part, and like the show running through the 90s into the 2000s, because we looked at all the examples on that list. They're all relatively recent. I think Golden Girls was on there as maybe one exception.
Yeah, I thought it was considered. It looked like it was on the best list.
Oh, I think so. Cheers' finale is like one of my favorites, I think.
Okay.
And maybe it's on the best list, and I just don't remember it because we had 2 different ones and whatever. It's a lot of looking at it, but I was just trying to think of examples of older shows, because I don't think all of them are here. And Cheers is one that had a really well-regarded finale, so I guess we'll see if it's there next week. But all right, I think that just about does it. And again, we can always talk about a couple more worse ones if you think of them between now and then, because it's not like that's off limits next week. But Dave should be here in town, and we'll wrap up this list, and then the game shows the week after that with both a new game and the return of the Wonderwall.
Sweet.
Yes.
I can't wait to lose.
So we'll see what happens there. Dave and Sean are currently tied on the all-times win list after Sean won the last episode. They both have 5.
We go by win percentage as well.
You go by 1%.
By win percentage, you are slightly ahead of them with your 3 wins in 8 episodes over their 5 wins in 14 episodes.
That's all I needed to hear. Thank you very much. We're still going by that until I'm no longer in first.
Which will happen the next episode if you don't win.
Fuck.
So I don't want to ruin it for you, but at the same time, we will put a stop to this talking point right quick if you don't win next time.
No pressure.
No pressure, because they'll be whoever wins that episode will be 40% if it's not you, and you will drop to 33%.
Will I still be second place? Yes, I will. Good.
Yeah,
you'll be tied
right?
because you'll both be
Inherently,
exactly,
because
you'll both be 33%. So technically, yes, you will also be tied for last if you prefer to look at it.
I'm
You'll be tied
running
for second of 3 people.
I'm running out of excuses. Fuck.
Yes, you're gonna have to start stepping up your game.
I might have already peaked, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's possible. You did get a whole crown, so it's going to be a bad look if you start falling off a cliff.
And a belt. I have a crown and a belt.
A bad series finale. That's the end of this episode. In between shows, you can find us at our website, grayareas.live or youtube.com/@grayareaslive. We'll see you next week for the conclusion as we look at the best TV finales of all time.